episode. Okay, guys, so we are here for week number 8 recap, and we have the first battle here. But before I do that, I just want to make a couple announcements. Week 7 just showed up. Today is Friday, and as of right now, this week's probably going to be late, so I do apologize about this, since both last week and this week are probably going to be late. But after that, after this week, everything should be on time, should have all weekly recaps done by Wednesdays, which is good. So I should be able to be on track with everything very, very shortly. So just hold on tight, you guys. This one might even be a little bit more late. I am going to a concert, an all-day concert tomorrow, Saturday. So I won't be online at all. But anyways, I want to get this thing done and over with so I don't have as much to do later. So, right now we have the Lycanrocs taking on the Glygars. The Glygars brought Alakazam, Slaking, Mamoswine, Scizor, Blastoise, and Rotom Heat, while the Lycanrocs brought Togekiss, Mew, Mega Lucario, Arcanine, Spinda, and Mega Adino. Yes, he is allowed 2 Megas. There's no rule against it, but they both have to be carrying their Mega Stones, and you can only Mega Evolve one, so if anything, he's at a disadvantage right now. But anyway, we'll get started right into this. Slaking and Alakazam start off against Togekiss and Mega Lucario. Mega Evolution first turn, as we see a Protect from Slaking, which is very interesting to see. Follow Me, which does get the Thunder Wave onto the Togekiss, which allows Mega Lucario to Swords Dance up. Another Follow Me the very next turn, as Psyshock doesn't do a lot at all, as we see Truant this time misses the Meteor Mash, but we do realize that it is sashed later on, so it doesn't really matter too much, as a second Psyshock brings this Togekiss down under half, as we see Earthquake taking out not taking out either opponent, but doing a lot of damage as Slaking dies to Mega Lucario's close combat, which I'm surprised we don't see Bullet Punch on the Lucario at all. Alakazam switches out into Rotom as Mamoswine comes out. Another Follow Me, but an Earthquake again gets rid of Lucario, so a waste of a Follow Me there, as Togekiss has leftovers, as we see. Mew comes out as Blastoise comes out from the Mamoswine. Volt Switch onto the Togekiss gets a critical hit as Reflect does come up. I don't know if the crit mattered. I think it does, as Mega Adino comes out now. Follow Me on the Blastoise. Baby Doll Eyes, which is, I actually really enjoy seeing that. But we see Swords Dance from the Scizor as Blastoise is now poisoned. Another Follow Me as Ally Switch, which is also very interesting to see from an Adino, as we see a second Swords Dance. Very, very scary indeed. As we see a Bullet Punch hitting the Adino very hard, but Reflect allows it to live. As we see another Baby Doll Eyes and a Taunt onto the Scizor. Scald not able to kill the Adino, but does in fact get the burn. Next turn, we have another Baby Doll Eyes, Light Screen this time for the Mew, as Adino does in fact go down to a Scald, and Mew goes down to a U-turn at ×2. Not surprising there, as Mamoswine comes back out after the U-turn, and now all that's left is Arcanine and Spinda, which I think is like Rocky's favorite duo right here. Earthquake, not able to kill any one of them because of the Reflect, as we see a skill swap lowering the attack on the Mamoswine yet again, as a close combat and the contrary boost as well, as a second Earthquake is able to take out the Spinda because of a critical hit, but not the Arcanine, as it now goes down to a second close combat, getting another contrary boost, and easily lives the Volt Switch from the Rotom. Blastoise does come out, and I believe Alakazam? Yep, Alakazam also comes out as well. Goes for a Psyshock, doesn't do a whole lot, as Morning Sun brings it back up to 75%, as Scald is only doing 17 after the Light Screen and the Special Defense boosts. Thunder Wave again, very smart on the Glygars, trying to help him win this battle, as a third Close Combat boost comes out, and now Scalds are only doing 23%. Blastoise is now down to 16% after Toxic. Shadow Ball is not doing anything. As a matter of fact, it helps the Arcanine get another Special Defense boost. And with Morning Sun, brings it back up to 79 after leftover recovery, leaving Alakazam at 1% after Blastoise dies to Toxic from Mew. Volt Switch only doing 13%, Psyshock only doing 12%, Overheat killing the Alakazam, getting a special attack boost as well. Now Rotom comes out Goes for a Volt Switch, trying to win this. Pursuit brings it down to 33% and gets the paralyzed. So can the Gligar's get a crit? Another Volt Switch brings it down to 21. Pursuit again, 8%. But we see a Morning Sun this turn as well, 64% after leftovers. Another Volt Switch Pursuit combination as Overheat finally hits the Scizor, taking it out, and we're left with an Arcanine at 39% versus a Rotom at 100. Goes for a Volt Switch at 20%, not paralyzed, gets back up to 76 after Morning Sun and leftovers. Another Volt Switch again. Overheat not able to kill the Rotom, lives at 62%, lives on 38%. Another Volt Switch trying to get a crit, does get the paralyzed, which is pretty good. Goes for another Volt Switch, not able to kill yet again. Another Volt Switch, still no crit, lives on 23 and gets another paralyzed. This is the best chance that the Rotom has. Another Volt Switch, no, cannot get it. Another Morning Sun. My gosh, Rocky, I hate you so much. Goes for another Volt Switch as another paralysis. Rotom is still trying to fight on. Lives on 36% close combat, not able to kill the Rotom still after that. Lives on 3%. Another Volt Switch. Lives on 26 and another Morning Sun. 83% after leftover recovery. Another Volt Switch. Gets the paralysis. That means at least one more Volt Switch. Still no crits after this. And finally, Close Combat is able to take it out. I counted all that. It is 27 hits onto that Arcanine. Which is just incredible. But thank you guys for watching. On to the next one. Alright guys, so here we are for battles number 2 and 3. First up is the Tennessee Magmitans taking on the returning Charlotte Beedrills. The Beedrills brought Drampa, Pachirisu, Flygon, Lapras, Serperior, and Mega Kangaskhan versus the Magmitans, Hitmonlee, Amoonguss, Tapu Koko, Politoed, Crocodile, and Kingdra. So we'll start off with Crocodile and Amoonguss, starting off against the Mega Kangaskhan and Pachirisu. The Intimidate drops the attack of the Mega Kangaskhan, switches out into Serperior and into Flygon as a Rage Powder knockoff gets rid of the Choice Scarf on the Serperior. Rage Powder again does not want the Crocodile getting hit with a grass move, but Glare comes out as well as Dragon Dance knocks off doesn't have any moves then. We see the Rocky MZ Continental Crush onto the Amoonguss, not killing it, neither with the Dragon Pulse as well, as Giga Drain's not able to kill the give Garchomp DD. Amoonguss goes for a Protect as the Politoed, which came in on the Crocodile, does in fact live the Leaf Storm, which is incredible in my opinion, as Skull takes out the Flygon. Mega Kangaskhan comes out, switches out into Crocodile, also giving the Amoonguss the Regenerator. As Politoed goes for the Protect, does not want to get hit with another Grass move as Dragon Pulse and Double Edge onto the Crocodile, but we see the Guava Berry set yet again for the Crocodile, taking 2 hits and allowing the Kangaskhan to take some recoil damage. Decides to switch it back out into Amoonguss as Leaf Storm kills the Politoed this time with still 5 turns of Rain left, as Drain Punch does do a bit damage to the Amoonguss, but we see Rocky Helmet. As the Rocky Helmet brings it down to about 52%. Kingdra comes out as forces Drampa to switch out for the Serperior. Protect on the Kangaskhan. Rage Powder as well. Goes for the Draco Meteor, taking out the Drampa. Drampa unfortunately wasn't able to do a thing. Serperior comes out yet again, forces a switch out into Star-Lord, the Tapu Koko, as we see yet another Rage Powder glare onto the Koko, and another Double Edge, gets more recoil, as well as the Rocky Helmet. Lives on 3%, forces another switch out into Pachirisu as they Protect onto the Kangaskhan, goes for Dazzling Gleam, and takes only 23% for the Pachirisu, forces a switch with the red card. Sludge Bomb only does about 30% to the Pachirisu. Switches out into Crocodile, getting another Intimidate on that Kangaskhan. Knockoff, not able to kill the Pachirisu as Double Edge does do about half to the Hitmonlee, but takes himself out, and that allows Serperior to come out Protect on the Hitmonlee as a follow me onto the Pachirisu, which will allow another follow me close combat, gets rid of the Pachirisu, and for some reason the Beedrills go for Glare instead of the kill on the Hitmonlee, which allows Sludge Bomb to take out the Superior, and now Lapras is the only thing left, and just dies to a close combat from Hitmonlee. A 5-0 win for the struggling Magnemitans. That puts him right now in 4th place in the playoff race. As we will go to the Tauros versus the Tentacools. Tentacools brought Mismagius, Cresselia, Empoleon, Tangela, Megadionce, and Zygarde versus the Tauros, Goodra, Pelipper, Mega Swampert, Thundurus T, Kabutops, and Genesect. We see Mismagius and Cresselia starting off against Pelipper and Tornadus. Rain comes out as expected as Mismagius goes for the Protect. We see a Z move right off the bat, Dark Hole Eclipse onto the Cresselia, as well as a Toxic 2, showing that Cresselia is a threat, especially with Trick Room up. And that means Swift Swim users are not as viable. We see Moonlight as Swampert comes in on a Thunder, thinking that it was going to go to the Pelipper, as Dark Pulse onto the Mismagius does do about 64%, as Toxic damage is doing its thing to Cresselia. Predicting an Energy Ball, switches out into Goodra, but instead the Tangela comes out as Psyshock gets rid of the Tornadus. Genesect comes out as well, forces a switch out into Megadionce as Rock Slide hits both competitors, as Calm Mind on the Cresselia. However, it matters not for the Bug Buzz to get rid of the Cresselia. Tangela comes out yet again, Protect on the Deonce as a sunny day for the Tangela. Ice Beam onto the Tangela, as well as a Bug Buzz gets rid of the Tangela as Life Orb damage is doing its thing to Genesect. Empoleon comes out, forces a switch out into Zygarde as Goodra switches out into Pelipper, getting to the rain back up as Genesect goes for the Iron Head. Doesn't do a whole lot because of Zygarde's pretty good defenses, as Stealth Rocks is stopping the switching from the Tauros. Ice Beam is able to kill this Zygarde, as well as Pelipper goes for Tailwind and eats in Grass Knot very easily. That allows Deontay to come in, forces a switch out into Goodra. Genesect goes for a Protect. I'm thinking to predict the Deontay's Protect as well, as Goodra eats a Surf pretty nicely. Genesect goes for the Iron Head to pick up the KO on Deontay as well, as Earthquake, doing a lot of damage to Genesect, does more to Genesect than it does Empoleon, as Surf takes out the Genesect, as Goodra lives it pretty easily. Mismagius comes out, goes for a Protect, does not want to take any move, as Brick Break onto the Empoleon lives on 14%. We see another Life Orb, as Rock Slide only does 8% to the Empoleon, as Grass Knot takes out the Kabutops, and that allows Mega Swampert to come out. Switches out into Pelipper. I don't know what she was predicting there, but Bloom Doom comes out for the Mismagius, taking out the Pelipper in one shot, but that does allow Goodra to take out the Empoleon, and we have a 2 versus 1, and that one is still Mega Swampert. Does get hurt with the rocks yet again. Meggy evolves, goes for a Protect with Mismagius, as we see a Rock Slide from Swampert, and a Rock Slide from Goodra. Protect fails this time as a Waterfall is able to hit the Mismagius and takes it out. Thank you guys for watching this. We'll go on to the next battle. Alright guys, so now we have 3 battles for you. First up, we have the Registealers taking on the Solar Beams. Then we have, that's actually supposed to go after this next one. Polytoads versus the Magikarps. And finally, the Bouffalants versus the Wall Breakers. So I want to get started with the Registealers versus the Solar Beams. We have Scrafty and Raichu starting off against Oricorio Electric and Jirachi. There's a spider on my screen, I got rid of it. Sorry, I scrolled down. Protect from Jirachi and a Fake Out onto the Oricorio with trying to go for the Volt Switch on Jirachi, but obviously the Protect has it so it does not work. Goes for another Volt Switch. This time it does work. Does about a 0.25% as both Aegislash and Nidoqueen come in. Tailwind from the Oricorio, which is very nice, as Nidoqueen goes for the Protect as a fling, unfortunately, is not going to work as a taunt onto the Aegislash, but unfortunately, he actually goes for the Shadow Claw, not able to take it out. He lives at 9%, but the next Shadow Sneak, the very next turn, does in fact take it out. Air Slash does a 30%, which is actually a lot, as Ice Beam takes out the Oricorio. Hoopa and Frostlash come out as double protect from the Hoopa and the not the Aegislash, the Nidoqueen, as Aegislash dies to the Shadow Ball. That allows Scrafty to come and get the Intimidate as Hoopa switches out into Magmar. Frostlash goes for the Protect as Fake Out hits the Magmar but gets the burn on the Scrafty, as Sludge Bomb does about 45% to the Magmar. Disable onto the Nidoqueen doesn't do anything because of the Protect, as Heat Wave does very minimal, as Knockoff gets rid of the Focus Sash on the Frostlass. Blastoise comes in as goes for a Protect on Magmar. Shadow Ball again only does a quarter yet again, as Earth Power is not going to do a thing because of the Protect. Mega Evolution as goes for a Protect as well. Double Protect with the Nidoqueen, as Heat Wave hits the Blastoise only 8% as he also gets the burn, as Water Pulse takes out the annoying Magmar that got 2 burns in one game. Hoopa comes out yet again, goes for a Protect on the Blastoise. Disable again misses because of the Protect, as All Out Pummeling is not able to take out the Nidoqueen, as Earth Power does in fact take out the Scizor, leaving it a 5 versus 2 advantage for the Registealers, as Azumarill comes out, goes for the Gunk Shot, is able to take out the Nidoqueen, which has been very annoying, as Water Pulse hits and confuses the Hoopa, as we see Curse on the Azu instead of Belly Drum, which is very interesting to see, as we see an Intimidate getting rid of that Curse boost. Hidden Power Electric, which is very surprising to see, hits the Azumarill, as Drain Punch is not going to do a thing to the Hoopa, as Play Rough gets rid of the Scrafty, as now Tapu Bulu comes out. Confusion does in fact end, goes for the Hyperspace Fury, not able to take it out. Defense goes down as another Hidden Power Electric brings it down to 25%, as Hornleech takes out the Hoopa, as we see yet another Curse on the Azumarill. After Leftovers and Grassy Terrain, it's back up to 37%. Bulu goes for the Protect, as well as Azumarill, as Hidden Power does not do a thing, because Registealers are worried about a Sap Sipper Azu. Stone Edge hits it about 17%. Hidden Power Electric does in fact take it out, and in 15 turns, the Registealers win 3-0. Next up, we have the Politoads and the Charizard. Not the Charizards, the Magikarps. Politoads brought Delphox, Mega Manectric, Ditto, Conkeldurr, Mandibuzz, and Araquanid, while the Magikarps brought Naganadel, Ambipom, Charizard 10, Zygarde 10, Charizard, Mega Pidgeot, and Ferrothorn, as we have Ditto and Mega Manectric starting off against Ambipom and Mega Pidgeot. Switches out into Mandibuzz, does not want to take a Fake Out, which does in fact come out, as well as a Hyper Beam, which is very interesting to see. I like how he's bringing that. As Ditto transforms, he did not have the Imposter ability, unfortunately, but Hurricane is able to take out the Ambipom, as goes for a recharge with a Roost on the Mandibuzz, already a very good couple turns for Polly. As Charizard comes out, gets hit with a Hurricane, as well as the Ditto gets hit with a Hurricane too, gets confused, and the Z Sunny Day boosts up the speed from the Charizard, but also the Solar Beam is doing its work on him. Unfortunately, gets confused, goes for the Heat Wave, takes out the Ditto, does great damage to the Mandibuzz, as Hurricane takes out the Mandibuzz as well, as Solar Beam power is bringing it down to 5%. Pidgeot is standing tall. Double Protect on the Arachnid and Conkeldurr that came out, as Heat Wave does not do a thing, obviously. That allows the Charizard to go down to its own Solar Power ability. As we see Guts on the Conkeldurr, Zygarde comes out as well. Hurricane is able to take out the Conkeldurr before it's able to do anything. 1,000 Arrows is not going to do a whole lot. It actually does 30, which is more than I thought. And Liquidation is not going to do a whole lot in the sun. As Mega Manectric comes out, goes for the Mega Evolution, gets the Intimidate boost, and Araquanid goes for the Protect, gets rid of the Zygarde with the Hidden Power Ice, as Hyper Beam gets rid of the Manectric. Sun does go away as Delphox comes out, Naganadel as well, goes for a recharge, obviously, as Sludge Wave, lets the Pidgeot live on 6, but Heat Wave is able to take it out on the Delphox. And that allows Araquanid to not kill the Naganadel with a Liquidation. Ferrothorn comes out, goes for another Sludge Wave, able to take out the Delphox, but Araquanid is still living. Gets the speed boost, but it matters not as Liquidation takes out the Naganadel, and goes for a Leech Seed, which is able to take out the Araquanid. And we're on to the last battle of this time. We have the Wall Breakers versus yours truly, the Bouffalants. Bouffalants brought Licky, Jinx, Celesteela, Infernape, Cofagrigus, and Mega Sharpedo, while the Wall Breakers brought Kyurem White, Alolan Ninetales, Hippowdon, Clawitzer, Mesprit, and Stakataka. Kyurem comes out as well as Ninetales, trying to get that Aurora Veil up as Licky, and Jinx, as we see the Cloud9, I almost said Snow Warning for some reason, which allows the Aurora Veil to fail as he goes for a taunt for Jinx, as Fusion Flare is able to just take out the Jinx with a crit. I don't think the crit really mattered, but Rock Tomb is able to do about a quarter damage to the Kyurem, as Celesteela comes out, switches out into Stakataka and into Hippowdon, as Heavy Slam is not going to do a whole lot to the Hippowdon, and Toxic's not going to do a thing to the Stakataka. Stakataka switches out into Mesprit yet again, as a Leech Seed hits the Mesprit and a Toxic hits the Hippowdon. Hippowdon goes for the Ice Fang, only does 15% to the Licky, and Leftovers is basically just bringing that back right away. Switches out into Kyurem again, goes for a Protect on the Mesprit. Heavy Slam on the Mesprit is not going to do a thing, and Toxic doubles into the Mesprit as he obviously protects him. Goes for the Fusion Flare, sees the Oka Berry, which doesn't do a whole lot, and Thunderbolt, which does about the same amount of damage. Heavy Slam is not able to kill the Kyurem, but that does allow Rock Tomb, to take out the Kyurem, as well get some health back for Celesteela, and everything's looking pretty good for the Bouffalants. Hippowdon comes out, goes for the Protect on the Celesteela, try to get some more health back. Power Whip onto the Hippowdon, does about 43%, as you see an Earthquake, doing about a quarter damage to the Licky, as we see that the Licky is becoming a pretty big problem for the Wall Breakers. Mesprit decides to switch out into the Clawitzer, as Cofagrigus comes out as well, with the Ninetales as the Toxic onto the Clawitzer, which will matter down the road. Ninetales decides to go for the Protect, as a Dark Pulse onto the Cofagrigus does over half to it, but the Power Whip does 72, which sees the Citrus Berry, tries to go for the Pain Split on the Ninetales, predicting that Dark Pulse, but unfortunately Ninetales goes for the Protect. Switches out into Mesprit as a double out into Stakataka. Rock Tomb on the Mesprit only does 12%, but does get the speed lowered, and actually a Will-O-Wisp, and I'm actually going to toot my own horn here for a second. I Will-O-Wisped a Clawitzer that was poisoned, predicting the Stakataka, and I'm going to toot my own horn here. I'm pretty proud of that moment, and you'll see my little yes off to the side, but not taking away anything from the Wall Breakers. He did a very good battle. Mesprit switches out into Hippowdon as Stakataka's out into Clawitzer, tries to go for the Toxic on the Mesprit, but doesn't do a thing, as Knockoff doesn't really knock off anything because it was already been used. Dark Pulse is able to take out the Cofagrigus, and Power Whip is able to take out the Clawitzer, leaving it a 4 versus 4 as Slack Off brings the Hippowdon back up to full, but with Toxic damage doing its thing, back down to 88%. Celesteela comes out yet again, goes for Protect, trying to get the Thunderbolt to go his way, and yet it did, as Toxic misses the Mesprit, but honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter too much that it missed there, because the next turn I am able to get it with the Toxic. As Earthquake does hit these Licky again, about a quarter percent. Celesteela lives the next Thunderbolt, goes for the Leech Seed on Hippowdon, as Earthquake again doing about a quarter damage, leaving the Licky to about 55%. 61 after Leftovers, as we see Hippowdon down to about 45% after Leech Seed and Toxic damage. Switches out into Ninetales as Celesteela goes for a Protect yet again. Wall Breaker's good job predicting that, goes for the Psychic on Licky as a Power Whip only does 22% to it. As we see Leftovers and Toxic damage doing its thing, leaving it at about 41%. Tries to go for another Protect, but unfortunately not able to do it. As we see Icy Wind slowing down both the Licky and the Celesteela. As Psychic not able to kill, lives on 1% as Rock Tomb slows down the Mesprit, but it doesn't really matter too much because the Icy Wind slows down both two of my mons. As Toxic leaves it at 17%, decides to switch out into Hippowdon, as Celesteela goes for a Protect, trying to get as much Toxic damage as he can off on the Mesprit. But he switches out as Hippowdon and Ninetales are both Toxic with Licky Licky. Licky Licky has been probably the MVP of this game for me. As Icy Wind is finally able to take out the Celesteela and lowers the speed again for the Licky Licky as it lives on 22%. As Rock Tomb lowers the speed on the Ninetales. We're living on 50%, but it is Toxic, however, and it is doing its thing. Switches out into the Mesprit as the Hippowdon goes for the Protect as well as Sharpedo, trying to get the speed boost up, as Mesprit is now down to 17% after the Toxic and, well, no hail damage, as Licky Licky is up to 34%. Mega evolves as a helping hand onto the Hippowdon. Liquidation is not able to kill, lives on 15%, but does get the defense drop, but the only thing that really matters is that Licky Licky dies finally, and Sharpedo lives on 15% after the hail damage. As Hippowdon does die to the Toxic, I think that's a second kill for Licky Licky, which is incredible. Goes for Protect on Stakataka. Sharpedo goes for the Feint, does not want that Trick Room to go up, as we see Hail allowing the Sharpedo to live on 9%, as Ninetales is forced to come out, goes for the Protect, does not want to die, as Stakataka trying to go for the double Protect, unfortunately is not able to do it, as the all-out pummeling is able to take out the Stakataka, leaving it a 2 versus 1 scenario, and that allows Sharpedo to go for the liquidation and pick up the win for the Bouffons, much needed in my opinion. Alright, so we're on to the next battle, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Alright, guys, here we are for another battle where we have the Sundance Kid? No, oh my goodness, it's not the right Sun team. We have the Kansas City Kartanas taking on the Kentucky Wild Meowths. The Wild Meowths brought Torkoal, Dusknoir, Landorus T, Victory Bell, Heliolisk, and Latias, while Hoobi brought Tapu Lele, Alakazam, Mega Alakazam, Hawlucha, Alolan Regice, and Talonflame. Let's go right into this now, where we have Torkoal the Yurtle and Dusknoir taking on Regice and Talonflame. Torkoal goes for a Protect as a Brave Bird, obviously not going to do anything behind the Protect, and a Thunderbolt as well, not going to do anything behind the Protect, as Trick Room comes out, switches out into Muck from the Regice, as Helping Hand, Brave Bird does over half to it, but Eruption will do over half to the Talonflame. Goes for another Helping Hand's Eruption, as Muck now lives on 30%, tries to go for Pursuit, thinking that the Dusknoir is going to switch, but turns out he doesn't. Tapu Lele comes out, another Helping Hand Eruption, takes them both out with a critical hit on the Tapu Lele. I don't think it mattered, I think it did. Actually, wait, I don't know if it mattered, I think it did. Mega Alakazam and Hawlucha come out, another Helping Hand and Eruption, but both, well, not both, but one of them goes for Protect, the Alakazam does, and Hawlucha goes for a Swords Dance, as Trick Room will, in fact, end, and he goes for another Protect and Trick Room, but Psychic does not kill the Dusknoir, allowing it to go for Trick Room again, and that actually might be GG's Helping Hand, not going to do anything to the double Protect that does come out. Another Helping Hand, as Eruption does in fact kill the Hawlucha, but the Alakazam does live and goes for the Psychic and kills the Yurtle. Heliolisk and Regice come out, as Dusknoir goes for the Sunny Day, not able to kill the, what is it called? Heliolisk with Blizzard, as we see Solar Power, goes for a Pain Split, doesn't really do too much, but the Heliolisk does in fact die to the Regice, as Dusknoir dies to the Shadow Ball, and we have 3 versus 2. However, Landorus and Latias come out. We see that the Landorus is in fact Scarf, takes out the Alakazam. Regice does live on 20, but we have Saturn Psyche on the Latias, taking out the Regice, and we have a 3-0 victory for the Wild Meowths. We have 2 battles left, if I do remember correctly, and that is coming up right now. Alright guys, here we are for the final 2 battles. I hope I got this right. Yeah, Yeah, I really hope I got this one right this time. I am home, so week 9 should be on time. Should be the Monday or Tuesday after the battles are done. But I apologize for making you guys wait all the way till Thursday night, Friday morning, one of the two. So I apologize about that. But anyway, we are here with the rematch of the Season 3 finals between the Gudras and the Heracross. As most of you guys know, the last time these two teams meet were in the finals, and the Gudras were able to pull out the win. This is a little bit of revenge. These two are 1-1 against each other. Very good rivalry already, and it's only been 3 battles. But we'll go ahead into this, where we have the Heracross with Mega Slowbro, Necrozma, Volcarona, Gliscor, Venusaur, and Salamence versus the Gudras, Thunderous T, Deoxys Attack, Alolan Persian, Magmortar, Jellicent, and Mega Steelix. We have a Alolan Persian and Magmortar versus Volcarona and a Gliscor, as we see a fake out onto the Volcarona, no Flame Body, but does get the flinch, as we see an Earthquake from the Gliscor, hurting Volcarona more than anyone else on the team, or on the field, as Magmortar has Hidden Power Ice for that Gliscor. Magmortar decided to switch out, predicting a Protect, but nothing happens as a Parting Shot onto the Volcarona switches out into Thundurus on a Quiver Dance, which only helps the special defense boost up, as Gliscor decides to go for Roost, not wanting to take 4 times damage from the Hidden Power Ice. Venusaur switch outs on a Jellicent's Protect, as we see Gigavolt Havoc only doing 33% to a Venusaur, which is very unfortunate, as U-turn onto the Thundurus forces a switch out into Salamence, getting the Intimidate drop, which doesn't really matter against these two. Salamence then switch out into Slowbro, as Steelix also switch out, sees another Hidden Power Ice, gets a crit on Slowbro, which is very unfortunate. That really is a factor in the battle. Not really. Sleep Powder onto the Steelix. As we see it Mega Evolve, as Salamence comes in on a Thunderbolt, not well at all. It does do 2/3, as Leaf Seed onto the Thundurus takes some health away from it. Switches out into Gliscor, predicting another Thunderbolt, which is exactly what happens, as a Giga Drain does do about 1/4 to Steelix's health, as Leech Seed is knocking away at the Thundurus. As we see Nasty Plot and another U-turn onto the Thundurus, as Volcarona comes out and a second Leech Seed, this time on the Steelix, eating an Ice Fang pretty nicely, but because of the double Leech Seed, it does go back up to full health. As we see another Protect on the Steelix, Psychic onto the Volcarona, gets rid of it, as another Sleep Powder unfortunately misses the Steelix because of the Protect. As Necrozma switches out, Thunder switches out into Persian, as well as Steelix into Magmortar, as we see a second Sleep Powder onto the Magmortar, unfortunately putting it to sleep, as Persian easily lives that Dark Pulse. Goes for a Fake Out on the Necrozma, as Leech Seed onto the Magmortar, sucking away at its health bit by bit, as we see it switch out into Steelix yet again, as the Venusaur goes for a taunt, trying to go for the Leech Seed, but unfortunately cannot. But we have a Calm Mind on Necrozma. Persian decides to go for a taunt, as a Giga Drain again does about 1/4, and a Dark Pulse does 1/4 as well to the Persian, as Earthquake does another 1/4 to this Persian, but also doing a third of damage to the Venusaur. Steelix decides to switch out into Magmortar that time, as a knockoff gets rid of the leftover Necrozma, but doesn't do a whole lot, as Giga Drain only does 7% of the Magmortar, and 23 to the Persian with a Dark Pulse from Necrozma. Goes for a taunt again, as taunt wears off the last turn onto the Venusaurs, just so it can't go for a Leech Seed, but instead it goes for a Giga Drain on Persian, taking it out, as Dark Pulse takes out the Magmortar as well, and that also allows taunt to end for the Necrozma, as Deoxys and Thundurus come out one more time. The Venusaur decides to switch out, does not want to take a Psychic, as that's exactly what happens from the Deoxys and the Thundurus, allowing Gliscor to actually live and take out the Thundurus as well, as Gliscor has the Poison Heal, as you already saw. Gliscor goes for a Protect, does not want to take another Psychic, but Shadow Ball goes on in the Crossbow. It does 39%, as Dark Balls unfortunately is not going to be able to kill because of the Focus Sash, as Skull's obviously not going to do anything with Gliscor because of Protect. Shadow Ball is able to take on the Necrozma, but that allows Gliscor to go for the Earthquake, take out Deoxys, but then is vulnerable to a Scald from Jellicent. However, with the Jellicent and the Mega Steelix, none of those two can really do anything to the Venusaur, which comes in, as well as the Salamence, which gets the Intimidate drop on the Mega Steelix, goes for a Protect on Jellicent, as Salamence decides to go for a Dragon Dance. Sleep Powder's not going to do a thing to the Jellicent, as Ice Fang gets rid of the Salamence pretty nicely, as we see a 2-on-2 Mega Slowbro and Venusaur versus Steelix and Jellicent. Mega Evolution as a 40% Giga Drain onto the Jellicent, as Shadow Ball doesn't do a whole lot to the Venusaur, and Ice Fang does a little bit more, but not enough, as Steelix is going to die to the next Ice Beam the following turn. Leech Seed onto the Jellicent, as we see Recover trying to stall out both the Venusaur and Mega Slowbro, but that is a very hard task even for a Jellicent, as Steelix does in fact die to that Ice Beam, like I said previously. A Sleep Powder, so Jellicent cannot go for a Recover, as another Ice Beam only does 11% onto the Jellicent, as Leech Seed is doing its thing against it as well. Another Giga Drain, this time did 42%. Does wake up, goes for the Shadow Ball on the Slowbro, which does just barely less than half, but it doesn't really matter because the Venusaur is then able to go for a Giga Drain this following turn and pick up the win. I feel pretty good about that one. I didn't stutter as much as I thought I was going to that battle, so that was really good for me. Good. I'm giving myself a pat on the back. So we're going to go on to the last battle, where, oops, I forgot to reset this one, where we have the Rapidashes taking on the Infernapes. The Infernapes brought Tapu Fini, Mega Sceptile, Drifblim, Lucario, Dragonite, and Mr. Mime, while the Rapidashes brought Rotom Frost, Virizion, Mega Beedrill, Darkrai, Snorlax, and Ala Hoopa. Oh, I want normal. As Snorlax and Hoopa start off against Finny and Drifblim, we see Drifblim getting that Misty Seed boost. Goes for a Shadow Ball, actually lives it away from the Hoopa, as well as a Moonblast too. Goes for a Thunderbolt on the top of Finny, as a Rock Slide hits both of them, fortunately for the Rapidashes. The following Shadow Ball is able to kill the Ala Hoopa Ring, as a Reflect from Tapu Fini, as Heavy Slam still does 22% through the Reflect, allowing Rotom to come in. Goes for an Ally Switch, which is very nice to see. Shadow Ball Tapu Fini is able to live, as another Heavy Slam still does pretty good damage to the Drifblim, as we see a Shadow Ball this time connecting to the Drifblim. Rock Slide connects to the Drifblim and takes out, as Shadow Ball takes out the Tapu Fini, but that does allow Lucario and Dragonite to come out with both a Reflect and Light Screen up and a Tailwind. Close Combat taking out the Snorlax, as well as a Protect on Rotom allows the Dragonite to easily go for Dragon Dance. Virizion comes out, dies to a Devastating Drake at +1. Anything's going to die to a Devastating Drake at +1. As Close Combat's able to take out the Rotom Frost. Now I'm starting this one because I said something earlier. Mega Evolution for the Beedrill is another Dragon Dance from the Dragonite. I don't know if that was a misclick or anything, but Darkrai does die to a Close Combat. That does allow Mega Beedrill to go for a Drill Run, get a critical hit. That doesn't really matter, and kill the Lucario. Mr. Mime comes out, goes for the Follow Me, but Dracula is able to take out the Beedrill nonetheless. Very quick 8-turn 3-0 bet victory for the Infernapes. As we are going to move on. Oh, wrong one. I wanted the standings. We're going to start off with the blue division, because I think I started with the red one last time, where we have bottoming out the Glygars and the Solar Beams at both 2 and 6. Lycanrocs were able to win last week. They are now 3 and 5. Polly dropped down from 4 to 6. He's now 4 and 4. Magikarps, Wild Meowth, and the Goodras are at 5 and 3. The Goodras are on top because they have, well, she has the winning advantage, the head-to-head competition over the Wild Meowth and the Magikarps both. The Kartanas and the Registealers are tied at 6 and 2. The Registealers have beat the Kartanas, that's why they are number 1 this week. Over in the red division, we have the Tentacles, Heracross, Rapidashes, and the Beedrills, all 2 and 6. Rapidashes and Beedrills beat both the Heracross and the Tentacles. Remember last week how I said the Tentacles technically did win against the Heracross, but I'm giving the head-to-head to the Heracross. That is why they're 8th place, but that is a very tight battle. Anything can happen next week, and we'll definitely see that. Number 4 and number 5 are both 4 and 4. The Buffalons have the winning record and the differential record over the Magdemitans. The Wallbreakers are 5 and 3. The Infernapes are 6 and 2, and the Tauros are the only 7 and 1 team in the PSBL. Her rookie season 2. Damn, that is good. We're gonna go over to the Mons of the week first. And I meant to scroll down, where we have 2nd and 3rd place, both 4 and 1, the Genesect and the Torkoal for the week. We also have Arcanine 4-0 from the Lycanrocs, excuse me, showing off that both defensive and offensive skill. We'll go over to the Pick'em standings. This is right here. We're gonna only go 20 and up. Next week, you do next week. Oh, Killer! I didn't even see you. I'm sorry, fam. You're moving on up. There you go, fam. Well, Killer is now 21-17, Polly at 27, Mike at 29, Lucy 32, Kid Icarus at 34, Pearl is at 35, Omega 36, 37 for Twenta, 40 for Hooby, and 49 for myself. We'll go over to the league leaders right now for the defense, where we have Celesteela at 4.833, Moltres, Persian, Alolan Persian, and Amoonguss all at 5. Venusaur is now in the top 10 at 5.04. We have Mudsdale at 5.78. Arcanine is now at 6.19. Megasteelix is at 6.28. Hippowdon is at 6.41, and Ferrothorn is back on top at 6.83. Over to the offensive league leaders, where we have a whole bunch of 10s. Right here, we have Thundurus, T, Venusaur, Aegislash, Torkoal, and Goodra, separated by just deaths from the Goodras, Heracross, Registeelers, Wild Meowths, and Tauros, respectively. For the 11 kills, we have Celesteela and Mega Swampert from the Buffalons and Tauros, respectively. And for the 12 kills, we have Mega Alakazam, Heatran, and the new leader, Genesect, just because of the lack of deaths that it had, Kartanas, Infernapes, and the Tauros. Again, the Tauros, for the 3rd straight time. We'll go over to the schedule right now. As finally loads. Is that all of them in there? Yes, it does. I'll go over what the matchups are and who I am predicting to win as I scroll down a little bit. First up, we have the always lovely battle between the Season 2 champions, Hooby and Lucy. Best buds in real life, obviously. They go everywhere together. They go shopping, and they go get their nails done all the time. These guys are just inseparable, so... Did I say that right? I don't know. It's like 10:30 at night. I'm pretty tired right now. But anyway, we have the Kartanas versus the Magdemitans. I am picking the Kartanas on that one. I just feel like they have the better experience in doubles, but we'll definitely see what happens in this. I would not be surprised if Lucy pulls out the win. That's why this is not my lock pick. Goodras taking on the Solar Beams. I am picking the Goodras on this one. I'm not saying I don't believe in the Solar Beams at all. From what I've seen, Killer is a very good battler. He just needs to prove myself a little bit more. If it was somebody against, I don't know, the Glygars or something like that, I probably would have voted for him, but Mandy has been doing very well, except for the last week, and against, I want to say, Hooby. So those are her only 2, oh, you know, that's 3 losses then. Did she have 3 losses? Yeah, so she's not 5 and 3. I need to change that. Nope. Because on the Discord, I have her as 6 and 2. She's not 6 and 2. She's 5 and 3. So I'm gonna change that right now. It might be a little awkward because you guys can't see anything, but I'm changing something. Next up is the Wild Meowths versus Lycanrocs. Wild Meowths have been destroying. They even destroyed the Kartanas. That is my lock pick for the Wild Meowths. Registeelers versus Magikarps. I am going with the Registeelers. Glygars versus Politoads. I am going with the Politoads on this one. These two are actually best friends. I'm really looking forward to see how this one goes out. But yeah, Anyway, we'll move on to the Tortos versus the Heracross, two of my closest peeps, Sierra and Cody. I am going with Sierra. She is just been on fire. The only 7-1 team in the league right now, which is just crazy for her rookie season. Next up is the Beedrills versus Rapidashes. I am going with the Beedrills. Tentacles versus Wall Breakers. I am going with the Wall Breakers. And Infernape versus Bouffalant. You know I gotta represent myself. Yeah, I'm going with myself, but we'll definitely see on that one. Thank you guys for watching again. Sorry for that this is so late. But anyway, thank you and goodbye.